Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating journey. We're going to look at how a tiny chemical discovery in a laboratory is transformed into a massive, life-saving production line. The hidden mechanics of scaling up medicine are honestly absolutely incredible. So let's just jump right in.
To kick things off, let's ask a pretty massive question. Once a drug is invented and, proven to actually work, how do we physically guarantee that millions of those pills are perfectly uniform, totally safe, and cost-effective? Because think about it, it's one thing to make a few doses in a sterile little beaker, but it is an entirely different universe to produce millions of them every single hour without compromising even a single milligram of quality.
So to understand how we successfully scale up life-saving drugs, we're going to open the Pharmaceutical Engineer's Playbook. Today we'll cover 1. The engineering of medicine, 2. Core laws of production, 3. Operations versus processes, 4. Managing heat and flow, 5. The manufacturing toolkit, and 6. Applications in the industry. Starting with Section 1. The engineering of medicine, from beaker to factory floor. Okay, so what exactly is pharmaceutical engineering? Well, it's the vital discipline that strictly applies engineering principles directly to the pharmaceutical industry. We're talking about everything from manufacturing and processing to packaging and quality control. This is the exact science that ensures we can produce medicines on a massive scale while keeping uniform quality, boosting efficiency, and most importantly, adhering to incredibly strict regulatory safety standards. It literally bridges the gap between pure science and industrial reality.
And this field is truly a hybrid. To make a drug manufacturing pipeline work efficiently, you can't just rely on chemistry alone. Nope. You need physics to understand the forces at play, mathematics to calculate exact yields, and core engineering principles to design the massive equipment itself. These 4 pillars work seamlessly together, and they're what keep production costs down while keeping safety protocols flawlessly high.
Moving on to Section 2, Core Laws of Production, the Rules of the Universe.
Now, before we can even begin to look at massive machines, we have to establish the rules, and it really comes down to 2 foundational balances, material and energy. Based on the law of conservation of mass, our material balance tells us that input must equal output plus accumulation. Mass simply isn't created or destroyed. Similarly, our energy balance dictates that energy is just transformed, whether we're heating, cooling, or drying. Every single manufacturing step must perfectly account for every gram of raw material and every joule of energy. This ensures accurate yields and efficient temperatures. There is literally zero room for guesswork in pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Up next, Section 3, Operations versus Processes, Classifying Transformations. So, there is a stark contrast in the 2 main ways we actually alter materials in a massive facility. First up, we have unit operations. Now, these are purely physical alterations. Think of things like grinding something up, mixing it, filtering it, or drying it. The core chemical nature of the drug doesn't change here at all. Conversely, we have unit processes. This is where fundamental chemical synthesis happens, stuff like oxidation or hydrolysis, which actually changes the molecular composition of the substance itself. Understanding when you're just physically moving a chemical versus when you're fundamentally changing it is an absolutely key part of designing a safe factory.
Which brings us to Section 4, Managing Heat and Flow, Moving Energy and Matter.
Once we know exactly how materials change, we face the massive physical challenge of moving thermal energy around. And why do we care so much about heat transfer? Well, because properly moving this heat via conduction, convection, or radiation is exactly how we sterilize equipment. It is literally the difference between a contaminated batch and a perfectly safe medicine. Plus, it's totally vital for operations like drying and distillation.
And just as we manage heat, we absolutely must manage liquids and gases. Just think about the sheer scale here. When engineers calculate factors like pressure, viscosity, pipe diameter, and velocity, they are essentially designing the vascular system of the entire factory. Understanding fluid flow dynamics allows engineers to seamlessly pump huge, highly specific batches of thick liquid syrups and pristine, sterile water throughout a massive facility, all without any clogging or dangerous pressure failures.
Let's look at Section 5 now, the Manufacturing Toolkit, the Engineer's Workbench.
So what does the actual machinery do? Well, the first critical step in our physical toolkit is size reduction and mixing. Why break ingredients down in the first place? Because decreasing the particle size actually increases the surface area. And this is absolutely critical because that increased surface area directly impacts how effectively and quickly a drug dissolves inside a patient's body. Once those particles are incredibly tiny, mixing steps in to guarantee that every single dose scooped from that massive batch has the exact same uniform drug content.
But to achieve this micro-level consistency on a macro scale, engineers, well, they don't just use big spoons. They rely on heavy-duty tools using intense impact forces in a hammer mill, heavy tumbling in a ball mill, and shear forces in a cutter mill. These are then followed by highly specialized powder, liquid, and semi-solid mixers that guarantee the perfect, uniform distribution of the active ingredient across literally millions of future pills.
Okay, so once our active ingredients and excipients are perfectly mixed or suspended, we often need to purify or preserve the final product. Filtration acts as our rigorous physical bouncer here, separating solids from liquids to clarify solutions and guarantee sterility. Then drying comes in. By actively removing moisture, we radically improve the stability of the drug and stop dangerous microbial growth dead in its tracks.
And to achieve that preservation, we obviously aren't just leaving things out in the sun. Engineers utilize massive tray dryers for batch processing, fluidized bed dryers which actually suspend the particles in hot air for rapid drying, and vacuum dryers for highly heat-sensitive medicines. Together, these machines ensure the medicine remains stable, potent, and entirely safe for a very long shelf life.
Finally, Section 6. Applications in the industry, the final product.
All of these foundational laws, physical operations, fluid dynamics, and massive pieces of machinery ultimately converge right here. From the exact powder blend pressed into a tablet, to the precise viscosity of a cough syrup, to the absolute sterility of liquid injectables, pharmaceutical engineering makes it all possible. These engineering concepts are the invisible forces guaranteeing product safety and quality at every single step of the journey, right down to the packaging and those final quality control checks.
It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? I mean, we pop a pill from a blister pack without a second thought. But right behind that tiny tablet is a hidden world of incredible scale, unbending physical laws, and absolute precision engineering. Hopefully, this explainer has given you a newfound appreciation for the massive, finely tuned matrix that keeps our medicine cabinet stocked and, most importantly, safe. Keep questioning how the world around you is built, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.